सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परम्। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। कार्पण्यदोषोपहत स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्याय निश्चिन्तं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्येतेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्। ओम वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य म आणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासिः अनेन अधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि श्रुतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्यमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गे तुष्टुवागं तस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति न साक्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमि स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिव कीर्तिं पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्व पवित्रो वाजिनीर्वमृतम् अस्मि द्रविणगं सवर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः इति त्रिशङ्कोर वेदानुवचनम्। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Amazing. Good morning, everyone. Narayan Narayan. Welcome to the much awaited quiz. I think we have 4 or 5 weeks after the chapter. Thank you, Nana, for joining. I know you've just reached India, but glad to see your commitment. Fantastic. So, guys, this is a long chapter. It's 42 shlokas. So, we have to go through a lot of questions, a lot of chanting, etc. So request is to keep the answer crisp and to the point. It's open book. Please feel free to refer to the shloka, your own notes, whatever else that you have. And the main purpose is that it enhances all of our learnings. It helps us crystallize our understandings. The questions that we have put together, there are essentially 3 types of questions. One is understanding the concept of principle. That is one. The second is fill in the blank. So, and the third is your personal interpretation of that concept or application of that particular concept. Okay, those are the 3 types of questions across the chapter. Any questions? Okay, so we go straight into it. Okay, so Kuina will read the questions. I will manage the roster. So the first question is, the first is the chanting. So Kavita, if you can chant the first 4 shlokas, and then we'll get to the question.
अददशमोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वशः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय पश्यामि हितकाम्यया न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः यो मामजमनादिं च वेति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढसमर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः भयं च भयमेव च.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So I think the first question will go to Naina.
Naina.
Okay. Unmute yourself, Naina. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, this is an easy one. What's the name of the chapter?
Vibhuti Yoga.
That's awesome. Okay, so the real question now. To whom is the Lord ready to reveal himself?
To Arjuna, because he says, one who knows me as transcending the phenomena of birth and as being eternal, the person who realizes that he has.
Correct. Correct. So one who loves and adores him. He will always reveal himself to one who loves him and adores him.
Yeah. Like you said, right? Arjuna is you said Arjun, right? So why is Arjun, why is he ready to reveal himself to Arjun? Because Arjun is a person who's fit recipient of his words. For he knows that Arjuna adores him, loves him. Right? Okay.
Rituj.
So what does adore him mean?
According to me, adore him.
Cannot hear you properly, Rituj.
Oh wait, I'll just put my earphones. 1 second.
No, it's good now. It's good now. This is good now.
You said what adore him means. So wholeheartedly, completely loving someone and being able to retain what one is receiving. Like our vessels have to be as clean and our antakaran has to be sure to retain it, and blocking our vessels with the holes so that we can retain the information that he's able to give us. So wholeheartedly, that is adoring, but I feel.
Correct. So, and why do you want to be able to retain what the other person tells you? The person that you love, you adore, you want to retain what he's telling you, right? You want to plug all the holes. Why do you want to do that?
So that the true purpose of knowledge is that to, if it's for our antagana, it's our self-realization, to attain ourselves and our individualized selves, that is the goal, and to manifest our divinity and also help others manifest theirs.
Correct. And we do that by following, acting, right? So having complete, so adoration means that you have to have complete faith in what the other person says and follow the principles. You can't keep saying, Mama, I love you, Papa, I love you, and then do everything opposite of what they tell you. Then that's not loving. Okay. Or adoring somebody, right? You have to follow their principles. Okay.
Next is Sachin, Bhavna, they're not here.
So,
Kavita.
Kavita. Okay. What is the ultimate welfare of a devotee?
Ultimate welfare of a devotee is the self-realization.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Correct. And why does he, a connected question, why is he so keen to reveal himself to somebody who adores him?
I think because that is the power of the love, because he is love himself. And when we love him wholeheartedly, he don't hesitate, he reveal himself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we love him and he loves us back. So all he wants to do is to have our welfare at his heart. Okay. His kamna is for our hit, for our welfare. And our welfare, like you said, was to receive, to go to the highest, right? Sanchita is not here, right?
Venkatesh is not here.
Wait.
Anita,
Chanting was Sanchita.
you've gone up to here.
Oh,
You're
sorry,
right
sorry,
here.
sorry, sorry.
Now Shloka 2.
I'm jumping through stuff. Okay.
Okay, Shloka 2. So Venkatesh is not here. Anita is not here. Smita.
Smita's here, yeah. Okay. Why?
So do I? Oh, okay. I thought you are asking me to read the shlok. Yeah.
No. Question. Why are the Devatas and the Rishis not able to narrate God's sublimities in completion, in totality? This is Shloka 2.
I think what I understand is they say that the God and the sages, he's a prime cause for all the gods and the sages, right? And that's why they would not be able to, express the essence the way he can express himself.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Perfect answer. Next.
Next is Vijay.
Vijay. Okay. So Vijay, this is for Shloka number 3. Okay. What are the 3 words which describe God and his essential nature?
Eternal and ever unborn. And the third word, eternal and ever unborn. And free of all sins.
No. So the first 2 you got right. Is there anyone else who wants to give it a shot? Third word?
Lord of all the worlds.
Yes.
Lord of all.
Words.
Okay.
Yeah. So the words in the shloka are Ajam, that is free of birth, Ajam, Anadi, eternal, and Lok Maheshwaram, Lord of all
Okay.
the worlds. Okay, creator and controller of all the worlds. So these are the 3 important things that describe this thing. Okay. Anmol. Next one for Anmol.
Yep.
So what is the result of knowing God's essential nature?
I think it's the self-realization.
Yes. And here, how is that self-realization being talked about? In what form are they talking about self-realization?
Basically, you're undiluted, you let go of your delusions. You're free of your delusions.
So in this shloka, the way they have expressed the concept of self-realization is that there would be freedom from all sins, which is the same thing as being free from doership, right? If you don't have kartapan, if you don't have doership, you will not bear its consequences. So there are no sins that will accrue to you. All right. So that is the result of knowing his essential nature, which of course culminates into self-realization. Absolutely.
Bhagishri.
Well done. Bhagishri?
Oh, now we are chanting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do the chanting first.
So, Sanchita, I have the recording for Sanchita.
Okay. So the next 5 to 7 shlokas are to be chanted by Sanchita, and she was not able to join us. So she sent.
Sorry.
So she has sent us the recording. Okay. So we'll hear from her now. Start. ठीक से नहीं आ रहा है
तपोदानं यशो यशः भवन्ति भावभूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विदः महर्षाय सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तः माद्भावा मनसा जाता यशं लोका इमा प्रजः एतं विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सुविकम्पिन योगेन युज्यते नत्र संशयः.
Thank you, Sanchita, for sharing, for doing the seva. So next question is to Bhagyashri.
So, so Bhagyashri, in the shlokas 4 and 5, they have described 20 emotions or feelings that are his vibhuti. Can you name the first 5 and briefly explain what they mean? And also, one more thing. Tell me the words in the shloka that refer
To the
to each
first
of
5.
those, to the first 5.
Okay, intellect, buddhi, wisdom is jnana, non-delusion is samoha, forgiveness is shama, satyam is truth.
Perfect.
Nice.
Intellect is non-delusion, forgiveness, and truth.
Hmm.
So in intellect, he tells us that this is what distinguishes us from the animals. Wisdom is which we collect by using the intellect correctly. So we have the cognition to the cognition of different things and entities. Non-delusion is so here I think we talked about like our greatest delusion is that we expect happiness from the world, but it is within us. Forgiveness is we want to forgive everyone, seek blessing for them. Truth is we describe the fact only, and it should be for the welfare of the listener. And
Fact only for the welfare of the listener, said at the right time with the right bhav, right? In a sweet manner, in a nice manner. You're not going to be harsh about it. That's the real truth. Okay. Nice.
Kakoli, next 5. Kakoli, if you can do next 5, identify the words, the Sanskrit words, and their meanings.
Next 5 are self-restraint, calmness, which is dama shamaha. Happiness, unhappiness is sukham, dukham. Birth and death. Birth and death is
Bhava. Bhava is death, is birth.
Bhavo,
bhavo bhayam.
So bhavo bhavaha. Bhava is birth, abhava is death. So
Okay.
bhava basically means to come into being, to be.
By self-restraint means that even I should have the ability to remember him and take my desires, like remove my mind from unwanted desires. That is what I mean by self-restraint, like where I can control my desires. By calmness is to, even in an agitated situation, to ensure that I am able to center my senses and my feelings and remain calm. Maybe Nam Jap is something which I can do at that point in a practical way to center my feelings. Happiness, unhappiness, are two sides of a coin, and both the source of both is God. So I should not get carried away by happiness, as I shouldn't get pulled down by unhappiness. It is like a cycle happening, and I should have the understanding of not to be swayed in these kind of feelings and situations. Birth and death is the same again. It is from where we come and where we will finally merge, and hence basically to take this journey, to take yourself somewhere away from the journey and look at it as a third person and not to be perturbed on the way. That is the practice which I need to follow with my Gita principles.
Okay. So self-restraint, Kakuli, you described it as control over your desires, right? So go one step back. The desires will start from the seat of your senses. Okay, the senses interact with their objects, and that is where we need to have control. Okay, so Dam is control over body and senses, and Sham is control over your mind, as you correctly described, right? So, and of course, mind is a special type of organ which is a part of both. It's a sixth sense from that perspective, sense of perception as well as sense of action. Okay, but essentially, when we think of Dam and Sham, Dam is control over body and senses. So, control over the connection of and consumption that we have from all five senses. And Sham is control over mind, as you correctly identified, right? Happiness and unhappiness is, again, when does happiness and unhappiness again happens at the level of our mind. Pleasure and pain at the level of body, the Dam part. Happiness and unhappiness at the level of our mind. So when we control that mind with calmness, then happiness and unhappiness stop to have their sway on us. Happiness is what we experience when something that we perceive as being favorable to us occurs. And unhappiness is when the circumstances are perceived as being unfavorable to the body-mind complex. Okay. Okay.
So, Nena, the next five and its meaning.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Nena. After death.
Bhayam and Abhayam, fear and fearlessness. Then Ahimsa, non-violence. Samatha, equanimity. Tushti, contentment.
Nice.
Fear and fearlessness is fear should not be used as a negative emotion. It should be used as something to internally motivate you. And fear is not for just bodily preservation, but for higher consequences. Use it as a positive emotion rather than the negative one. And non-violence. Non-violence probably from what I remember from the classes, from a space of power. If you're powerful enough to not wield violence on someone, like if you're weak and say I'm not violent, it makes no sense. If you're at the position where you can restrain yourself and not hurt somebody, that would be non-violence according to me. I don't know. And equanimity is the detachment and staying equipoised in both pleasure and pain, and happiness and unhappiness, or pain and contentment is being satisfied with whatever we receive as prasad or as a lesson. So not being disturbed by whatever happens and just accepting and as either a blessing or a lesson.
Very well done. I think all others were very well explained. The one part where I want to add would be non-violence. So the factor about whether you are whether you're powerful, not powerful, etc., actually is important in the space of forgiveness. When you have the capacity to avenge somebody, you have the capacity to hurt somebody, you don't do that, and you actually forgive, then it is very relevant, right? And we all are in that capacity, by the way, right? It is not just about having physical power or political power over somebody. So it is not necessarily only in the space of say a parent-child relationship where parent has power over a child and the parent forgives the child also has emotional power over the parent. And it is also for the child, even though he may not be able to physically do anything, whether he can find it in his heart to forgive the parent for the mistakes they make. Okay, so it works that way, right? Now, non-violence, why it is not relevant is because non-violence is not just at a level of physical, right? It is also at an emotional and mental level. So you can cause injury not just physically, but you can cause injury by your words. You can cause injury internally. You can think bad about somebody. That is violence. Yeah, and every time you hurt someone else through your words or through your actions, the first person that gets hurt the most is your own self. So you're inflicting injury on yourself. That's something to remember. The disinclination to do so is non-violence. So at every level, physical, mental, emotional, words, everything, right? Refraining, like doing something that will cause unhappiness to someone else is also violence. Not giving knowledge to somebody when you're in a position to impart that knowledge is also violence. Gets subtler and subtler and subtler, right? And then you will start to realize at how many levels we can be violent without knowing it. Okay, so non-violence is this. Okay, next.
So Rituj, last 4, please.
Last 4, okay. So austerity is tushti? No, or stup. Oh,
Tup.
Okay.
Tushti and tup are added together, so there is an sir in between. The words are actually tushtihi, so that
so tup
becomes sir. Tup.
Okay, so austerity is tup. Then charity is dan. And fame is yash, and infamy is ayash.
Nice.
So tup is basically from understanding is that everyone has their own duties to do in life, and you do it taking all the hardships and any inconvenience that you face while doing the duty. That's austerity, and gladly doing it, like just happily doing it. Charity is basically just be it time. It doesn't have to necessarily be money as well, but just giving your time and doing it for the purpose of someone else's welfare, and not just we tend to sometimes even when we think that we're giving for charity, but we're doing it for our own satisfaction, to make ourselves feel good and feeding our ego. So that is not that kind of charity. It has to be completely just for the benefit of someone else, and that it has to be extremely pure. That is what charity is truly. And fame is basically just spreading or just talking about one's good qualities, and infamy is the bad qualities, just spreading that.
Very well explained. Thank you.
Next is Kavita.
Okay. Kavita. Okay. So Kavita, there are 4 sets of opposite feelings out of these 20, which are considered endowments of the Lord. So can you explain which those are and why are the opposites an endowment?
Birth and death, fear and fearlessness, happiness and unhappiness, and fame and infamy.
Yeah.
And these are the 4 sets which are endowed by the Lord in the mind level of a human. I think it is all needed, because when there is birth, there is death also. And the fear of wasting the life is needed so that we act upon the self-realization. Then the happiness and unhappiness, I think when we are moving towards God, doing something good, moving towards the soul quality, we feel happy. When we are doing something, certain things, using the free will to move to, free will has the purpose of moving towards God or away from the God. We can choose how we are acting upon. So when we are moving towards God, we feel happy. When we are moving away from the God, we feel unhappy. I think this is a kind of a yardstick we can keep. And femi and infamy, or the divine and demonical qualities, what we are born with due to the previous actions in the previous lifetimes, and we have to kind of work on ourselves and then change our qualities to the demonical qualities, whatever we have, and like we move on to the soul qualities, towards the soul.
So it's well identified. I'll just phrase it slightly differently. All of these negatives are also Bhagwan's vibhutis, Bhagwan's energy, to draw attention to us that we're not on the right path. So all
Or act as rails. to
right,
keep us on the right
they
path.
act as, or they act as rails. That's what you said, right?
That's
So it's just to draw us our attention that something's not right here. I need to go back and examine of where I am getting stuck in the body consciousness level.
And femi infamy, one more point is, like in chapter 2, we were talking about when Arjun is really at a gross level of consciousness, right, in chapter 2, and he can't hear Bhagwanji's voice as yet. His antakaran is not pure yet. It is not cleansed as yet. His intellect is still pretty gross. It is not subtle enough to be able to understand understand Bhagwanji and his messages clearly, correct? So at that stage, he had said, like, what are the ways for you to know what you should be doing in a certain situation? One of the first things was to do your duty. Now, my intellect is not subtle enough to even know in a certain situation what is my duty. I'm confused. Okay, this also seems right. This also seems right. Which one should I pick? Right? In that moment, he had given us a few other pointers to go by. And one of the pointers was that if you can't figure out any of the top 2, 3 ones, then just go with whatever will get you fame in your society is the right thing to do at that stage. If you will receive infamy, people around you are going to say, this is wrong, what did this person do, this is so poorly done and all, that could be one of the markers. Right? So you start with that. As you gradually upskill yourself, your intellect becomes subtler and subtler, then you don't need to depend on external markers to tell you whether you're doing the right thing or not. But until you reach that, then femi and infamy to that extent act as a societal rails for your action. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Next one would be Smita. So this is Shloka 6, right? There are 7 Maharshis who have been named here. What are they propounders of? Which type of mark?
I honestly, I don't know. I can go through it, but I don't recollect like what exactly the path they have gone. They are explaining here.
Okay. Is there anyone who wants to take that question?
Pravritti.
Yes, the marg of pravritti. Can you explain to us what is the marg of pravritti here? Like if I had to use one word for it, what would that be?
I've written this. Doing one's duty. No.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
doing one's duty. Yeah. So just doing one's duty through the 4 aspects of life that they've explained. That is brahmachari, grihast, forest dweller, and the life of a renouncer.
Those are the ashrams of life. Those are the phases of life.
But we do our duty through that.
You are
Right.
duty in every phase. And
Phase
the
of life, yes.
duty in every phase of life will look different.
Hmm.
Right? Your duty towards your children when you
Hmm.
are in Grahasthashram versus
Hmm.
when you are in Vanprasthashram are very different.
Hmm.
Right? You
But-
have to take care of your children, but you don't
Hmm.
have to take care of your children like the way you did in Grahasthashram in Vanprasthashram, right? So absolutely. The marg of pravritti is marg of karma yoga. Marg of doing your own duties, path of action.
So just one caveat, doing your own duty with the purpose of self-realization. That is Marga Paramati. If you're just doing your duty with attachment and all of that, then it doesn't reflect it.
Correct.
So I think if I remember, you had used this word nivritti se pravritti. So like, by doing your actions in the right way, you will be able to go towards pravritti. Is that what the essence of this shlok would be?
So there are 2 things in every action. That's the next question I was going to ask, right? So why don't you take that, Smita? Right? What do the 4 Kumars represent? What is the mark that they take? You just
Not
said,
there. Nivritti se pravritti, right? So like, as we said that it should be karma yoga and path of action. So it would be more in the lines of like, things, thoughts, action, and discussion. I think that is what was discussed, right? That in all those aspects, one has to be determined in their karma with the action of doing the duty without getting any results out of it. So, selfless duty is what will lead you to pravritti.
correct. Selfless duty is the path of action, the marg of pravritti. The second, the 4, and that's what is represented by the 7 Maharshis. Then there are 4 Kumars, right? The Sanak, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar. The 4 Kumars represent the path of Nivritti. Nivritti, Pravritti is generally taking in or doing something, getting associated with something. Nivritti is getting away from something, taking it out, leaving it behind. Okay, Nivritti. So path of Nivritti is the path of Tyag. Every action has to start from a space of Tyag, of sacrifice, of giving up. Then the next question I will ask you back, Rituj, I'll come back to you on this one. So question would be, what is it that we need to give up? Tyag kis cheez ka karna hai hame?
Who are you asking this to?
Smita, back to Smita, I'm talking to her only.
I think ego ka tyag karna hai.
Absolutely. Ego, what else?
The thing that I do, the doership that we feel that we are doing, that is what needs to be given up, because everything is getting done through us for our benefit by him. So I think
absolutely. And that is what we need to give up. Now, we also have to give up our conveniences, correct? Our sense of likes and dislikes, because we are constantly stuck in that, and that's why we are not able to follow our duty, correct? So these are the things we need to give up. We have to give up our Shatripu, the 6 demons inside of us, KLM3, 2 KLM3, Kam, Krodh, Moh, Mad, Matsar, Lobh, right? 2 KLM3. This is what we need to give up. Now, how are they related? We always say Nivritti before Pravritti. If you cannot give up something, if you don't empty your vessel, you cannot pour more water into it. Okay. However, now they are what do you call it? They help each other, right?
So
Both the
can I-
path of Pravritti and
So
Nivritti.
Nivratri is the subtle which powers the gross, which is Pravritti, right? So the subtle, when you have the bhav of Tyag, when you have the love for God inside of you, और फिर आप जाके वो gross काम करो, आपको फिर प्रवृत्ति मिलेगी. But
yes, so basically, when you do nivritti of something, your marg of pravritti becomes stronger. But the fact that you're walking on the path of pravritti with the right bhav will also help you in further strengthening the nivritti that you need to do off. So they are, they help each other constantly. It isn't like it isn't a linear thing. It's like a helical thing, right? Like helical. Yeah, cyclical. Correct? So they help each other get stronger and stronger along the way. So nivritti and then pravritti. Yes, Rituj.
Just a question. You said the 4 Kumars, but but Kumar is not in every word. Isn't it supposed to be 4 Sanas, because it starts with Sana throughout?
No, they're called 4 Kumars because Kumar as a word actually means a young boy. And the 4 Kumars were one of the first progeny of Brahma. And they were very, very pure when they were born. So at the age of 5 itself, they were self-realized and they refused to grow after that. So they are forever represented as 4 little boys. That's why they are called the 4 Kumars, 4 little boys. Nothing to do with the name per se.
And just another thing, you had mentioned about the helical thing and not being linear, but the fact that it says that this is the 4 preceding ones, that means that nivritti will be before pravritti. So the word that they use, because they say it's preceding, that means that this has to come before for pravritti to happen. I guess that's what I got from reading it, maybe.
Correct. That's what I was saying. Nivritti before pravritti. You have to empty your vessel before you can receive more water in it, right? However, that does not mean that it is a linear path. It doesn't mean that you've done pravritti, you've done nivritti, all nivritti happens at one go, and then you proceed to pravritti. It never happens that way, right? You let go of some, then you go on to your marg of pravritti. That marg of pravritti, doing your karma yoga correctly, is a cleanser of your antakaran. Correct? That's why we do Karma Yoga. That's why the first 6 chapters are Karma Yoga. As you walk the path of pravritti, it further cleanses you. Action never leads us to Gyan. Action is not what will cause us to get over our delusion. But action is what will cleanse us, which means it will make our nivritti stronger. You start from nivritti, you walk the path of pravritti, that will help you further strengthen your nivritti. That means you empty a little bit more out because of that marg of pravritti, and that means you're able to fill a little bit more inside of you, right? So it's like the experiment would be, maybe I'll do this experiment in some class and show you how a little bit of pravritti, how pravritti itself also helps in nivritti. So if you take a glass of water, a clear glass of water, okay, fill it up to the brim, and then you put some ink in it, some color in it. All right. Now it's become dirty water. It's not clear anymore. Okay. You empty the water out a little bit, and then you pour some more fresh water in it. When you pour fresh water, pure water in it, which is what you do through your sadhana, through your nam jap, by your practice of tyag, you will see that the dirtiness of water has reduced. The color has diminished. Okay. Now, if you keep pouring pure water into it through your karma yoga, constantly pouring pure water, the water will keep flowing out. Okay. The dirty water will keep flowing out, keep flowing out, keep flowing out, until at one point of time, the entire glass is filled with completely pure water. So you're walking the path of pravritti is actually helping in nivritti of the dosh. Helping in the nivritti of your ego, of all the shatripu, the 2KLM3. You see? But of course, that then path takes longer than emptying the whole glass out and filling it up with completely fresh water. That's one go. Correct? But we are not there yet. We can't empty ourselves out at one go. You can empty a little bit out. You have to fill it up with water, because something always fills something. There is no emptiness in this world. Right? Make sense?
Vijay.
For the Shlok 7 now.
Oh, so you're chanting?
No. We've done till 7. Okay, Vijay, what do you mean by vibhuti?
The extraordinary greatness.
Correct. Extraordinary greatness that we see around us is called vibhuti. Very nice. And what is the purpose? What is the purpose of knowing about God's vibhutis? Why is he revealing all these vibhutis to us?
To understand him better, because these are sublimities that he is revealing only a part, because it is going to be never ending, never ending if he start revealing all the aspects of Lord himself. So he is going to call out few of the divine sublimities, which is the top few of that. So that's what he is going to reveal it for us to understand.
Correct.
So,
Why
so
did he
to
reveal-
understand that extraordinary greatness, sorry, you were trying to say something.
No, go ahead, go ahead. I was just asking, so why is he revealing these qualities to us, these sublimities to us?
So for us to understand, to comprehend what God is, so he is giving us few of the extraordinary greatness that qualities that he possesses.
Correct. And then what happens when we understand him?
That would be our moksha. That will be our that will be our path to towards unity or singularity. Because there are several dualities that are currently present. If you do away and have further refinement subtly towards what it is, it will all be ending up with one God in mind.
So you're right, it will lead us to moksha, but there are several steps in between, from knowing about his sublimities, knowing about his grandeur, to getting to moksha. The very next step is, once you, like you correctly pointed out, he's doing this to help us understand him better. But what happens when we understand him better is that we fall more and more in love with him. You fall in love with people when you understand who they really are. That is what strengthens your love for them. So he's doing this so that when we understand him, we develop bhakti for him. We develop love for him, and in an unshakable manner. The more we know him, the more unshakable our love and our bhakti for him becomes. That's why he is revealing this to us. Yeah. And then eventually we keep taking those next few steps that will lead us to moksha. Okay.
Anmol chanting.
Okay. So the next chanting is by Anmol. 8 to 10.
Aham sarvasya prabhavaho matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samanpita Machchita madgata pranaha bodhayantam parasparam kathayattansha ma nityam tushyanti ca ramanti ca tesham satata yuktanam bhajantam pritipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te.
Very nice. Couple of things, right? Aham sarvasya, it is written as prabhavo, but it is actually pronounced as prabhavaha. The O matra becomes halant, right? And in the ninth one, parasparam, you see there is a halant under M, right? Ma. So it is half ma. So we don't go ma. Full ma is always with like that chota ki matra in behind. That's like a full varn. But when it is halant, half. So we finish like parasparam versus parasparama. You see the difference? That's the difference. Okay.
Next question also.
Okay, next question also Anmol. Okay, we'll start with Anmol. So there is this shlok 8. In shlok 8, the last two words is Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. Right? So who is Buddha here? Who's being referred to as Buddha?
Basically, the ones who have realized the sublimities of the God.
Correct. Buddha, what is the meaning of the word Buddha, you know?
No.
Buddha is one who has the buddhi. So intelligent one, the wise one, as said in the meaning here. The wise one. Dha is intelligent one. And who is he calling the wise one? As you correctly said, is the person who understands that everything is activated by me. He is the wise one. Perfect.
Bhagyashree.
Okay. Bhagyashree, in Shloka 8, can you explain the words, 3 words? Matchitta, Madgat Prana, and Bodhayanta Paraspara.
Shloka 9, sorry.
Shloka 9.
Yeah, these words are in Shloka 9.
Machita is with mind in me.
Mm-hmm.
Madgat Prana is with the pran in me, pran, the life force.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Bodhayantaha is enlighten each other.
Parasparam, constantly. Well done. Okay. And what does Bodhayanta Parasparam mean? Enlighten each other? No, let her, she's already done that. You use the word correctly. You said you enlighten each other. How do you enlighten each other? Just your understanding. It's not written in the shloka.
So, it's like you talk about the Lord, His grace, His kindness, whatever Lord is.
Perfect.
That.
So it's basically any satsang.
Being satsang for ourselves and being satsang for each other. Very nice.
Kakuli.
Okay. Kakuli, this is Shlok 10. Okay. What does the Lord do for devotees who follow what Bhagyashree just explained? Those who are Matchitta, Madgat Prana, and who do Bodhayanta Parasparam. What does Lord do for such devotees?
I think the Lord tries to enable that person gets the intelligence to perceive his sublimity, to perceive the fact that everything starts with him and ends with him. Basically gives him the intelligence.
Correct. And exactly, yoga of wisdom. Perfect.
But the yoga of wisdom then leads to?
Finally, moksha or?
Nice. Next one, Abhinav?
Next one is Naina.
Okay, so again, Shloka 10. Worship of Lord is done by these 2 things. What are these 2 things?
Bhajatam Priti Purvakam.
Bhajatam Priti Purvakam.
Singing his devoted to me and who worship me with utmost love. Is that it?
So the last sentence in the explanation, right?
Right.
You do Karma Yoga. When they say that you are worshipping the Lord, it is basically 2 things. One is Karma Yoga and Bhakti. You worship him with these 2 activities, which basically means Bhakti Mishrit Karma Yoga. That is our path. All of us. We are on the path where we are expected to do Bhakti Mishrit Karma Yoga. Follow our path of action, path of duty, with complete unshakable faith in Bhagwanji's grace and his laws. Right? Very nice. Smita. So next chanting, Smita.
Okay. Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashyam yatma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvatah. Arjun uvacha param brahma param dhama pavitram paramam bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divya Madi Devamajam Vibhum.
Thanks, Smita. One thing here in Shloka 11, same thing as Shloka 8, right? Like Prabhavo was actually pronounced as Prabhavaha. Here, Bhavasthaha, not Tho. Bhavasthaha. Okay. And in Shloka 12, it's Divyam Adi Devamajam.
Yeah.
So Ma is with Divyam, not Divya and Madi Dev.
Yeah.
Divyam Adi Devamajam. Okay. Okay, the question will be to Rituj. The darkness of ignorance can be destroyed by dash.
Light of perception.
Correct. And what is the word that represents light of perception here?
Jnanadeep.
Yeah.
Jnanadeep, yeah.
Jnana.
Deep of Jnana. Yeah, that's okay, sorry.
Perfect, perfect. The next one.
Next question
Hmm.
is for Kavita.
Kavita. So Kavita, in Shlok 12, how has Arjun described God?
Arjun has described him as a Param Brahma, which is a supreme Brahman, and then Param Dhamma, supreme abode, and Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, which is purifier, and Paramam Bhavan, the supreme you. And Purusha, Deva Deva. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it is a god of all gods. Purusham and Shashvatam, eternal. And Divyam is divine. Adi Deva. And then Majam Vibhum, the unborn.
So Param Brahma you correctly identified. Param Dham you correctly identified. Param Bhavan is just up. So the words is actually Param, Paramam, Pavitram. So Paramam is supposed to go with Pavitram. Ultimate, like the maximum purity. Okay. And then Shashvatam, eternal, is used with the word Purusham. Shashvatam Purusham. So you are the eternal divine Purush. Okay. Then God of all gods, Adi Devam. God of all gods, right? Then Ajam. Ajam is never born, and Vibhum is one who is present everywhere. Bhava. Bhava is to be, right? To be everywhere, Vibhum. So these are the different ways he has expressed himself. Now, one important piece here that I want you to explain. What does it mean to say he's Paramam Pavitram?
Paramam Pavitram.
Sanctifier.
Pavitram is said it's the one who purify. When our mind is attached to the God, we will get purified. So he's so pure and so divine. When we take our mind to him, we will get the divinity and the purifying. We get purified.
Absolutely. And that is the very critical part to know, that when we call something pure, that is not just pure by himself, but anything else that comes in contact with him, with their dirt, their apavitra nature. It isn't as if like their apavitra nature will make them apavitra. It's the opposite. The pavitrata or purity of Bhagwanji is going to cleanse us. That is the nature. That's the only thing you can call pavitra. If something that is pure, like a clean cloth, right? If this clean cloth comes in touch with dirt, it becomes dirty. And then you have to clean it. It doesn't make the dirt clean. So that is important to understand, that he is different from all other physical aspects in his purity. Well understood and well defined. Thank you. Okay, so next is Anita. Can you play her recording? So next shlokas 13 to 15 were by Anita, and she has sent us her recording.
आहुस्त्वां ऋषयः सर्वे देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा असितो देवलो व्यासः स्वयं चैव प्रविशिमे सर्वमेतत्कृतं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिं विदुर्देवा न दानवाः सर्वमेवात्मनात्मानं वेदत्वं पुरुषोत्तम भूतभावनभूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते.
Thank you, Anita. All right, who goes with the next question?
Smita.
Smita. Okay. So okay, yeah. So Smita, what do the consciousness represented by Narad and Asit mean?
I don't know how to define it. The consciousness by Narad and Asit.
You have the book
What
with
do they mean? Yeah, I do have the book with me. Yeah.
Just read from that.
I mean, it says you are spoken of as such by all the sages and also by Devarshi, Narad, Asit, Devla, yes, and the same thing you yourself say to me. But I mean, how do I define? Okay, can I define Narad, Asit, Devla, and Vyas? Do you want me to define their meaning? Like,
yeah, Narad and Asit. What
oh,
does
okay.
the consciousness mean?
Oh, okay. So, so Narad signifies a consciousness engaged in imparting spiritual knowledge. In several legends, I mean, also in Mahabharata, we have, or other mythological stories. The acquisition of spiritual knowledge by different devotees has been ascribed to his kind guidance.
Correct.
So he always comes and gives his, gyan at different aspects in all the mythological stories. And Asit is free of worldly bondage.
Bandhan Rahit, absolutely. So that means, how do we realize Narad in our lives? When we have opportunities that get created in our lives, or people, when they come into our lives, they instigate us to learn. Then we have Narad consciousness around us, instigating us to learn something. Absolutely. And Asit is being free from that delusion, right? That's the knowledge. So we do experience that sometimes, right? We don't stay, we are not nitya in that. We don't stay in that space, but we all have experienced a sense of lightness, a sense of freedom, a sense of happiness that we want to be like, okay, I just want to hold on to this moment. You feel that lightness of being, not pleasure. We all know the difference between experiencing pleasure and experiencing a lightness of being, right? So Asit consciousness is that lightness of being, which comes from being bandhan rahit for that few seconds, being free from the bondages of desires. Every time we have, like, if we are covered by a certain desire, when that desire frees itself, either by just going away or because we've completed that desire, we have that moment of freedom. We have that moment of absolute happiness, which unfortunately we often tend to correlate with acquisition of something external, of completing a goal, that we've completed it or we've acquired something, and that is what is causing me happiness. But actually in that moment we are experiencing Asit consciousness, where we are free from all desires. And that's why we experience internal happiness. It shines forth from us. And that causes us it causes in us a lightness of being. And this is a big difference between the happiness that we experience because of pleasure. Whenever you have sense of pleasure, it is always twinged with a feeling of fear. I have this happiness, now I'm fearful of losing it at the same time. So it is sullied. Pleasure is always sullied with a fear of maintenance or fear of losing it. You acquire wealth extremely happy, and then at the same time, you're worried about how do I multiply it? How do I make sure that I don't lose it? Blah, 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 blah. So that's the difference. Okay. The next one goes to
Vijay.
Vijay.
Can you also say contentment for what you were saying? Contentment.
Sorry. What, Rituj?
Contentment. Can we say contentment when you explain all this? Can we say we're content?
Contentment will always be there in the asset consciousness. Yes. I mean, they are all correlated. As you will realize that, it is like a train of bogies. You hold on to one, it will carry the other bogies behind it. Okay. But when we get specific, then that particular bogie, which is asset consciousness, is freedom from bondages. And what is that bondage? What keeps us bonded is desires. So the next question is for Vijay. So Vijay, please explain the meaning of the Devala and Vyas consciousness.
Is the contemplation of divinity through the physical medium of physical attributes. Vyasa, who has written Maharishi Veda Vyasa, who has written all the Vedas. So it is about having the documenting all the knowledge and spreading all the knowledge across.
Correct. So Devala is our consciousness when we engage in Sagun Sakar Bhakti. Right? Sagun Sakar doesn't necessarily mean having a murti in front of you. If you are doing just mantra jap, that is also Sagun Sakar. If you are associating to him through an art form, song, dance, bhajan, all of that is also Sagun Sakar. The space that we are in and the level of consciousness we are all at, when we do bhakti, when we connect to him, it is always through Devala consciousness. We don't go past Sagun Sakar. It is very, very important consciousness for us. Okay. And we have to have a very high level of consciousness to move beyond Sagun Sakar to Sagun Nirakar. Okay. So we leave that there. And absolutely, Vyas is also correctly identified. Okay. 12, 13, 14. Okay. Who's the next one after Vijay? Anmol.
Anmol.
Okay. So we'll go to Shlok 14, Anmol. What are the neither the dash nor the dash know the Lord's manifestations.
Neither the gods nor the deities.
Correct. And for Shlok 15, same question for, this is a very small question, so I'll give him another one. So Shlok 15, what are the Sanskrit words for knowledge, object of knowledge, and the knower?
Knowledge, those 15, right?
Yeah. What are the words for, what are the Sanskrit word? This is a word that's not, I don't think it's here. It's not here, but we generally talk about it, right? The knower, the knowledge, and the known. And we say that the difference between this knowledge is that the knower, the knowledge, and the known become one. And that's why the divine knowledge is different from the material knowledge.
I can't recollect the exact Sanskrit word for those.
Okay, no worries. So knowledge is Gyan.
Yeah.
Right? Known or the object of knowledge is Gyeya. Gyeya. And the knower is Gyata.
Sorry, knower is what?
Gyata.
Gyata.
ज्ञे का ज्ञान लेने वाला ज्ञाता.
Okay.
After Anmol is Bhagyashree. I think I'll give you the next question. Let's move ahead actually. I think we'll move ahead, right? So the reason I asked you this question was because of this, in Shloka 15, there is this letter, right? Swame Vatmanat Natmanam. So you know yourself by yourself. You are the knower, the Gyata. You are the knowledge, and you're the object of knowledge. So you know only yourself by yourself. You are the same. Gyan, Gyata, Gye is all the same. And neither the demons, which is what you said before this, neither the demons nor the gods can know you. And before this, we also realized that if the sages also, the wise ones also can't know us. Okay. Okay. So we'll do next is, it was supposed to be Venkatesh chanting of the Shloka 16, 17. I'm not sure. I haven't seen his thing. So someone will have to do the chanting for Shlok 16, 17. Does anyone want to take it? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Vaktumarhasya seshena divyah hyatma vibudayah yabir vibhuti birlokan imam stvam vyapadishtasi kadam vidyamaham yohim swam sata parishintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu Chintayosi Bhavanmaya.
Very nicely done, Kavita. Thank you. The next question is for Kakuli. So Kakuli, Sansar mein Visheshta Dekhna. To connect with Sansar and to think that all the vibhutis we see belong to Sansar. What is the word for that? How do we identify that action as?
The Sanskrit word?
No. What is that concept? What is that concept called? I'll direct your answer. Okay. So you tell me whether is it, okay. I'll reword the sentence because otherwise I may not be able to. Okay. We say that either you are in Bhog or you are in Yog. There is nothing in between. Ever. Right? Either you are doing Bhog or you are in Yog. If you are not in Yog, then you are definitely in Bhog. Correct? So now, when we connect, when we see the, so these are now, I'm going to ask you 3 questions because I'm giving you all the answers here. So you just have to like tick and do everything, right? So 3 questions. When you see sublimities around, when you see some speciality around, when you see something that is beautiful or amazing or whatever, right? When you think of it as belonging to Sansar, is it Bhog or Yog? When you see something that, when you can see that there is a Visheshta or speciality, it belongs to Lord, whether it is Bhog or Yog. And if you connect to, if you see the speciality in the world and you see Lord behind that, what is that called?
His manifestations? No.
First one. When you look at the world, and so first one is the second one,
Yog,
and the third one, connecting to the Lord through the specialities we see in this world. I'll give you a clue. The name of the chapter.
Okay, Vibhuti, his Vibhuti.
Vibhuti Yoga.
Yeah.
You're connecting to the Lord through his vibhutis in this world.
Okay.
It's Vibhuti Yoga. Okay?
Yeah.
Those are 3 questions. So I'll give you another one. Okay. Okay. Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu in Shlok 17. Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu. What does that mean? What is he asking for? What is he saying when he's using the word Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu?
Be engaged in meditation. To meditate on him.
No. Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu. Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu chintayosi bhagwan mayaha. Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu is like, in what all aspects? By now Arjun has understood that his sublimities are eternal and they are never ending. So then he asks, so tell me which specific forms, which names, which aspects is inside. Which forms, which aspects, which type of things should I focus on to be able to connect to you? So he's asking for those specific forms. Okay. Shlok 80.
That will be me.
Yeah, Vijay. Go ahead.
विस्तरेणात्मनो योगं विभूतिं च जनार्दनः भूय कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम् श्रीभगवान् उवाच हन्तते कथयस्मि दिव्य हयत विभूतयः प्राधान्यतः कुरु श्रेष्ठः नास्तयन्तो विस्तरस्य मे अहम् आत्मा गुडकेश सर्वभूतयश्चितः अहं दिश मध्यं च भूतानाम् एव च आदित्यानाम् अहं विष्णुः ज्योतिषं रवीशं शुमनं मारीचर मरुता अस्मि नक्षत्रमां शशिः.
Thank you, Vijay. There are actually quite a few places where we can improve the diction. So definitely use the resource of geetachanting.net. It becomes really clear. They give you line by line. So it breaks down every shloka into 4 lines. And it helps to chant better. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So the next question will be to Naina. What is the characteristic of divine knowledge that is highlighted in this shloka? Shloka 18.
It's Amritam, nectar.
Is calling his words nectar, correct? What else? There's one more special characteristic.
Yoga power. He says he's not satiated by listening to it. He can listen to it.
Absolutely. You are never satiated listening to the divine knowledge. And why is this a special characteristic of Bhagwanji's knowledge? How is it different from your experience in the material world?
Material knowledge, you listen to it and you forget it, or you have to keep relearning it. This, when you gain it, it becomes you. It becomes a part of you.
Correct. And in general, your experience with the material world with respect to satiation is what?
It's never enough. It's it's like it brings you dualities, probably. Is it? Or
no, it's got something to do with satiation. You're never satiated, right? He says,
right.
I get no satiation. I don't get any trapti. Right? Whereas with the material world, the marginal utility actually is diminishing. You eat one banana, the first bite of banana is yum. And by the time you're done with the second or third banana, you're like, I can't have any more bananas. Okay, it's like I'm done. The first sip of water feels like nectar. By the time you're done with second or third glass, you're like, no, I don't want to see water right now. Right? So it satiates. There is a diminishing marginal utility of everything associated with this world. Money, health, everything. There is a marginal utility associated with it. But for Bhagwanji's knowledge, the divine knowledge, there is no marginal utility that diminishes. It is constant. So you always, once you get the hang of it, you just want to listen to it again and again and again. Okay. And it is actually because of this quality that once somebody attains him, they can stay in it constantly forever. They never want to get out of it. Right? If there was diminishing marginal utility to it, then people at some stage would say, boss, there is a higher utility of being in another state. Right? But that doesn't happen. That's why if you look at some of the sant, jaise hamare Babuji the, they're called Nitya Leela Leen. He's constantly is absorbed in the Leela of Bhagwanji. Nitya Leela Leen. He had established himself in Bhagwanji. He's there constantly. Which is a state that we are not in, right? You remember that example of constantly, like it's like we are in a state where we are standing on the balls of our feet. So we are constantly losing balance. We get there sometimes, we understand Bhagwanji in those seconds, we experience him, and then again we go out of balance. So our experiences, we have to constantly get ourselves back. Faster we get ourselves back, the longer we can stay in that space is our journey. Right? But we will always lose balance, and it's okay to do so. We have to be compassionate with ourselves and with others in this journey. Okay. Naina, and then next is Rituj. Shloka 19. What is one thing he's asking Arjun to take note of before he starts sharing his vibhutis? He says, I will narrate my principal divine sublimities to you, but take note that
is limitless.
That there's no limit to my manifestations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no limit. Okay. So Shlok 20. What is the literal, to you only, Rituj, because it was a very small one.
Yeah.
What is the literal and deeper meaning? What is the literal and deeper meaning of the word Gudakesh?
A literal meaning is who has decided to throw himself off the slumber of delusion, which is basically being the perfect student, like being a student of retaining the information and letting rid of all your preconceived notions and the delusions that are in your mind so that you can receive the knowledge that the Lord is giving you and so that you can identify him. So again, it's the cleansing of your vessel and blocking those holes so you can retain the thing. That's a Gudakesh.
Correct. So you correctly identified somebody who has Gudakesh is somebody who has won over sleep. That's the literal meaning. Who has won over sleep. Somebody who does not feel sleepy, or is when he's sleepy, he's still able to keep himself awake. So when we say sleep, then the deeper meaning is what you referred to. That sleep basically means ignorance. So one who has won over ignorance. Ignorance is equal to delusion, right? Which is what you identified. Getting over delusion. Now, what does that ignorance or delusion mean? Getting over it means knowing that there is unity behind the duality we see in this world.
Unity in diversity.
Yes, unity in diversity. The names and forms we see around us, they are all manifestations of the Lord. Perfect.
But on a lighter note, when you mentioned about sleep, considering how early the class is for me and I'm very sleep oriented, I'm also getting over my sleep. So that
it all starts from the physical forms, right? It is the easiest thing to handle and to control is physical form, always. Sure, Smita. It's 5 minutes, right? So let's close the class and then we'll go on. Abhinav, we've done shloka 19.
Yes,
So
yes.
we'll do this in the next class. Okay. So we'll carry on with the quiz in the next class. And we'll go ahead after that 19. So 20th onwards we'll start. No, 20th we've done. 20th we've done now this one with the Gudakesh. We'll go to the next chapter. 21 onwards we'll start. Okay. Thank you so much. Let's do the closing shlokas.
Nageshwari, can you take up the seva for closing shlokas?
Yes. ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ ॐ ॐ
Thank you so much, everyone. Everyone has prepared so well. And actually, हमारा जो quiz है ना, जो हमारे marks हैं, वो भगवान जी से हमें वही मिल गए हैं, right? अभी we are just going through the motions. The quiz has already happened. Action has already happened. And that's the most important thing. The preparation that we had to do. उसके बाद what happens in the class, question, no question, nothing. That is immaterial. End of the day, we will all just continue to learn from that. And I think it's so obvious that everyone has put in so much of effort. Thank you so much for that. Right? So we'll carry on with the quiz in the next class. And in 2 classes, we will, like, you'll realize how quickly when we go through a chapter like this, we are able to connect it up much better. We are able to learn it much better and retain it much better. So we look forward to the revision in the next class with you all. Thank you so much. Narayan, Narayan. Have a good week ahead. Oh, sorry, one last thing. Tomorrow is Guru Purnima. So whoever is already doing Anushtan is, please continue to do so. Those who are not participating in the Anushtan, I request you to take up some extra sadhana because that's what Mayaju has always called for. Every occasion that we have to celebrate, whether it is birth, death, anniversary, or any special occasion that comes around, she has one prescription for all of us to increase some sadhana, to do some special sadhana as a way of us celebrating, as a way of us marking that occasion. So as per your schedule, as per your need and whatever you want to do, please go ahead, incorporate a small sadhana as a way of thank you on the Guru Purnima day. And just give your thank you to the Guru Shaktis that have blessed us to be in this satsang. Right? Thank you so much. And Narayan, Narayan, everyone.
Narayan, Narayan.
Thank you, Narayan, Narayan.
Narayan, Narayan.
That.
Ah. Narayan, Narayan.